What's going on, Niner fam? This is Peter Lucas. Happy New Year to everybody. And I'm here to give you your preview for today's match, Week 17 matchup versus the 49ers versus the Raiders. But thank you for coming in. And this is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. Hey, what's going on, y'all? It is Peter Lucas once again. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. If you haven't done so already, please hit that like and that subscribe button. Make sure you get the hit the bell to get your notifications so you know when I go live. Today we got our Week 17 matchup versus the Raiders, and I don't think a lot of people are really scared of this game, but I want to recognize a couple people already in the chat. Melissa, appreciate you coming through. Happy New Year to you and yours. And then of course Cowboy Angel, appreciate you for coming through. Yeah, happy New Year to everybody. It's another 2023. I mean, it's just crazy. These years just seem to fly by as you get older. But yeah, another new year, another chance for us to another chance for the 49ers to get a Super Bowl. So I want to get right into it, and I want to start off with the injury report. So it looks like Debo's not going to play today. I think that's the main takeaway from today's injury report. Debo's not going to play today. Jimmy Garoppolo's out. Kevin Givens, I thought he was kind of on the border, but he's still out with his knee. Kerry Hyder and Ambry Thomas are questionable. The only one I think that's really relevant in that out of those two is Kerry Hyder. I think that Ambry Thomas is a kind of an emergency break the glass type of situation for him. So but Kerry Hyder, he's been a pretty big part of the rotation all season. So I think they're probably going to. I would think that they would just hold him out for another week just to make sure he's 100%, get him ready for this playoff run. But I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, Kerry Hyder, what does it matter?" Depth is going to matter a ton in these playoffs. That was the thing about the 49ers that we really were excited about at the beginning of the season was this team's depth. And this team's depth got them through this season. The 49ers are about to be, I mean, I take them for already because they are players and they don't have Derek Carr, but it's really huge the depth that they brought in to this team because I think it really got them through some adversity. Obviously, at the quarterback position, it was really paramount to have depth. And I mean, honestly, it was huge to bring back Jimmy Garoppolo because at the very least, he was able to give us weeks of decent quarterback play of I would say decent to good quarterback play, just to get us to the Brock Purdy experience. And now Brock Purdy got a chance to sit. He got a chance to sit and watch and practice with the scout team and get used to the offense, pick up the offense. And I think you're seeing it now that, I mean, it's crazy that it only took him it only took him a little bit. He's a rookie. He's a 7th round rookie, but it's crazy that I would say that he would have picked it up regardless, but I think he's doing phenomenal. And the more you come into contact, the more you see the guy, the more you hear the guy speak, the more that you watch the film of this guy, he's doing things that are kind of obvious that people have been begging for 49ers quarterbacks to do for years, but he's doing it. And when guys are wide open, all we wanted to do was to have a quarterback that could throw them the ball. And we have that. He's been doing a great job. I'll be interested to see what happens in this game because the Raiders defense has not been good, but it's I think this is going to be under 30. It's going to be another game for him to put some more film out there, and hopefully not too much shows that where he can be taken advantage of. But I mean, there's got to be some chinks in the armor. We've got to find there. Eventually, we're gonna find chinks in the armor. Nobody's perfect, and and not to say that he's been perfect this whole time, because he hasn't. Like, he's missed throws too. But it's the steadiness and the confidence that not only he has, but that he gives this offense. I don't think that there's, and honestly for the fans too, because I don't think that there's any guy out there giving his team confidence like Brock Purdy, and that includes the top guys, that, hey, we're going to go get this first down. We're going to go right down the field, and it just is what it is. This offense, we're going to make this offense go, and it's going to happen. There's not really much that the defenses can do about it, because they game plan to shut down one or two aspects. These 49er team has a wealth, just an embarrassment of riches at the skill positions. And 49er fans have been saying it all year. A lot of people didn't want to recognize it because they don't know the names of our guys half the time. But the reality is it's coming. It's here now. And we're seeing a guy get those guys the ball in space, and they're just doing what we've all said that they could be doing this whole time, which is getting those yards after the catch. Now we're getting into the end zone. That's the most important part, because we were getting yards before, and even when we weren't scoring, we were having a hard time scoring from time to time in this offense. And I think that we were criticizing Shanny about getting in the end zone, but we're getting in the end zone now, and that's the biggest difference. I saw people comparing Jimmy to Brock, and there's really it's really not to compare him. We shouldn't be comparing him. But if there was a comparison, the difference is Brock is getting the ball in the end zone, whether it's him or it's the offense is getting the ball in the end zone, and that's the key. Because scoring, because we have great defense, but we're still going to have to score. We're going to run into one of those teams, kind of like we did last week with the Commanders, that put some points up on the board. I mean, they only got 20, but that's 20 points. And in the past, I mean, we had lost a game to a team that only got 11. So it's really important that we put points up on the board, especially in the playoffs. So I'm really excited to see the maturation and the next step for Purdy. But let me get to some of these comments. I saw Ryan, my boy Ryan, in here today. Appreciate you coming through. I got Kelts, and none of my stuff is showing. But he says, "Good morning. Hope everyone's blessed, hydrated, no headaches, fully ready to enjoy the beatdown." Yeah, I didn't do too much last night, because I'm a old fuddy duddy with my kids and everything. But yeah, I made it to the new year, so which is more than I can say for past years. But yeah, I had a great new year. I hope you did too, Kelts. Stand up guy. Make sure that you go and follow Kelts, and make sure that you watch his channel, subscribe to his channel. He's doing great things over there, especially I think he's on TikTok too. He's got some really good TikToks. So go ahead and add Kelts. But Ryan, I got to bring up Ryan, and I'm on with Ryan every Monday at usually in the morning, at 8:15, 8:30, 8:30ish, depending. But yeah, make sure you go watch Ryan's show every weekday, 8:00 Pacific time. Make sure that you go and hit him up. A great show. He has great guests. It's an awesome platform, and I always appreciate him for putting me on. Appreciate you, Ryan, for coming in. Cowboy Angel. Everything's running real slow today, but ham is on the menu. Stid ham is on the menu today. Yeah, so let's start with that. We've got Derek Carr removed himself from the team. for it says on the injury report for personal reasons. But I think the team just didn't want to put him in harm's way so that they could try and trade him in the offseason. That's my personal opinion on it. Not guaranteed that that's what's going to happen, but I honestly, I think that this, and people might think differently. I think that it's a mistake for them to get rid of Carr. It's I think it's more about the head coach, and I just don't think that the head coach is. I think we're seeing the same issues that he had in his previous stint when he was the head coach for the Broncos. Is that he's just not. Um, I don't know what it is. I feel like he doesn't motivate guys, and it's and he's trying to run that New England style offense, but I just don't think he has Bill there to keep him kind of in check. And the offense just looks terrible. You've got the number one running back in the league, and you're still trying to throw the ball 35, 40 times a game. It's just you're not like that offense was predicated around having Brady, and there is no other Brady in the league. I mean, you could probably put Mahomes up there, but I just don't think that in my opinion, I just think that Brady is a one of a kind guy. And I think that teams have been looking to replicate what New England did with Brady for years and years and years with the passing game and making the running, like making the running game out of the passing game. And I just think that Brady was one of a kind as far as that goes. And that was a kind of a thing that was a moment in time, and but teams are still trying to replicate it, and it can't be replicated. I think there's not many generational talent quarterbacks out there. Like, I think that there's a couple in the league. The rest of them are there. You got some good guys, but I think the problem with NFL teams now is that they think that they're drafting and making moves as if every quarterback has the capability to be that, and they just don't. They just don't. We see it. We've gotten to the point now to where we're saying that serviceable quarterbacks aren't the guy because they can't throw the ball 40, 50 times a game and for a good percentage. And it's silliness to me. Like, I think that football is football, and at some point, not everybody can do the same thing. It's the same thing with the Warriors and the NBA trying to replicate what the Warriors do, and the way that the NBA is completely shifted. But you have a bunch of teams trying to do what the Warriors do that you can't do that because they don't have generational shooters like the Warriors do. It's the same thing, but it's a copycat. Sports is a copycat thing. Everybody's going to try and do the same thing. Like, their guys are just as capable as these guys. And the truth is that they're not. You got they are their own people. You have to find the strengths and weaknesses for those guys. But I rant over about that. But appreciate you coming in, Jesus, today. Like, Niner Gang, he says Niner Gang, absolutely. Like, it was a really good New Year and overall holiday for me. So I appreciate everybody coming in and spending some time with me. But yeah. So back to the injury report. So we talked about Kerry Hyder, Embry Thomas. So the Raiders had a couple of Jackson. They're one of their tackles with a back issue. Zamir White, one of the running backs, has an ankle issue. But the big thing is that Derek Carr won't be playing in this game, and now it's going to be Jarrett Stidham, who used to play for the Patriots, and now he's playing for the Raiders because obviously and I'm blanking on the head coach of the Raiders right now, but the head coach of the Raiders used to be obviously coach for the Pats, and so he brought in somebody that knows the system. So it might be an interesting, because he knows the system already. I'm interested to see what kind of happens there. And now, it couldn't have been a worse defense for him to go up against in his first start, but I still am interested to see how it looks with a guy that's used to being in the system. So it'll be interesting. But they also got Josh Jacobs, who is the number one running back in the league, like as of today. Like But I don't think he's going to have a big day today because he's going against this 49er defense. 49er defense I mean, number one against the run. Like they only average 75. I believe they average 75 rushing game total, and they haven't allowed a 60-yard rusher this season, which is just insanity to think about. So for this guy, I don't care if he's the leading rusher in the league. For this guy to think that Josh Jacobs to think that he's going to come in and the Raiders to think that he's going to come in and be able to just run the ball against when nobody else has been able to do that. That's a pretty tall order to ask. And I just think that it's going to be it's going to be interesting because what the 49ers like to do is make you one dimensional. They're going to stop the run, obviously, just by what I just told you. And then at that point, once they've broken you to go away from the run, now it's time for all that pressure that they get you with their front four and the occasional blitzes from D'Amico Ryans. But that's when D'Amico Ryans, you see him start jumping up and down on the sideline because he's going to start just sending random guys and then just plays just start to happen out of this defense, and that's when the turnovers happen. So I think it's going to be a tall order for the Raiders offense today. They're going against the number one defense in the league, period, point blank. I don't care what the stats say. Now, I haven't even looked to see if the 49ers are still number one statistically, but they're still, in my mind, they're the number one defense in the league. And I know people have kind of soured on our DBs as the season has gone on just because they give up the occasional play. I mean, they're giving up occasional plays, guys. Yeah, they're leaving guys open. I get it, and they're trusting that that they're going to get pressure, but those are occasional issues, and the numbers don't lie. Once you play this many games, the numbers don't lie. The 49er defense is what the 49ers defense is, and you see it. They impose their will every single week. It's gonna happen today. I would be shocked if it didn't. The only way that it doesn't happen is if Shanny at the last minute just decides, I'm just going to put all my second stringers in and I'm not going to start any starters, which we know isn't going to happen because they're fighting to get that number, at least the number 2 seed. I think they want that number 2 seed, and Minnesota is there. I mean, we've all called them kind of fraudulent all season, but I think that they are I think that they're ripe for the picking. Like that team is just waiting to get beat by somebody. So it's gonna be a really interesting game. But Cowboy had a question so Jimmy G to Vegas. I mean, it's possible. I don't think that they do that because you've got Derek Carr now, and no matter what you think about Derek Carr, I think he's more talented than Jimmy G. I mean, now Jimmy G knows the offense, but do you do that? I don't know that that's what you want to put a non-mobile guy that just can't run. Yeah, I mean Jimmy G's a statue at this point in the pocket, and they don't have the greatest of offensive lines. So I don't, unless they're gonna completely revamp this offensive line, I don't see them taking a statuesque quarterback. That's one thing about Jarrett Stidham that I think is going to be interesting, is because I think he's more mobile and he's more willing to run than Derek Carr is. I've seen him a little bit in preseason games, and that's a guy that he's willing to run, and he's got a little bit of athleticism. So, and 49ers haven't always done well against the mobile quarterbacks. So I think that they really want to see what they have in Jarrett Stidham. Who's to say? We took a 7th round rookie in Brock Purdy, and people are now wanting to get rid of the guy that we spent all the picks on in Trey Lance to start Brock Purdy. Not that I want to do that, but I mean, you can't argue with the results right this second. Now we'll see after the season is over where we're all at with that, and an update on Trey. He had some surgery to take out the hardware on in his foot or in his ankle, whatever it was. But he had the hardware taken out of his leg, and it's typical surgery. People don't get Don't get fired up and don't get nervous. It was like he was having some discomfort in the which a lot of people have when they have surgery like that, and you put plating and screws in that. So some people just want it taken out, and he wanted to take it out, and they decided to take it out. So it's typical. Said they said he should be ready for OTAs. So Trey isn't going anywhere. I don't think Trey's going anywhere, and we would be remiss to think so at this point. Um, twin in the building. I appreciate you coming through, brother. Uh, yeah, like you said, Happy New Year to you and your family. Like you got a lot of kids, bro. Like Happy New Year to you and yours. Like I know that was a party. Uh, and but yeah, so injury reports, anything else? Like not really. Like I said before, Javon Kinlaw was limited in practice, but that's because I mean they gotta be trying to keep that guy fresh. And I don't think it had anything to do with an injury. I think it just has everything to do to keep his knee from swelling up. But and of course, Debo, we talked about earlier, he's not going to be playing this game. I don't want him. Honestly, I think he should be limited in the next game, even in the against the Cardinals. I think that maybe a couple of reps just to get him in the rhythm going into the playoffs. But I don't really don't want to see him go out there, and I definitely don't want to see him on Debo run plays, like where he runs him up the middle. I don't want to see that. Like I get it, it's football. I get it, but I don't want to see it before the playoffs. If it's a must win thing in the playoffs, and you got to do it because nothing else is working. Okay, great. But we've got so many things. This offense is working so well right now that why? There's literally no reason to do that. Like that should be a last resort thing. So, but everybody was pretty much a full mostly everybody else with full participation in practice. So it's not it looks like the 49ers are going to be pretty full strength. I think that you're going to see a lot of substitutions in this game because I think they're just going to try and get guys in, get guys out just to keep the flow, but not too many reps. Like I would be shocked if we see a bunch of reps for everybody. But I shouldn't even say I would be surprised because it is Kyle. So who knows? He might think that this is a must-win game, and CMC might get 30 carries today for all we know. But in my opinion, I think that they should probably get guys in, get guys out. Don't do too much, and like just get out of there with this victory. I wouldn't even worry about running it up. But yeah, the Raiders are missing the main guy that they're missing also is the Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones isn't going to play in this game. So it's that's another guy that Purdy doesn't have to worry about. Now they have Max Crosby, who's a beast. I know that we get caught up in 49er land in talking about and comparing him because people like to compare him to Bosa, but Max Crosby's a beast. Okay, he's a really good player. I think he's as good as Bosa? Obviously not. But he is, I mean, he's a good player. He's a good player. Don't be scared to say he's a good player. Like it's but but Bosa, I want him to get his. I just don't want him to if you can hear a theme in this, I just don't want we got 2 games left. I just don't want any major injuries going into the playoffs. So I would like to see these guys kind of just rotated in and out just to get like to keep them fresh and to keep them in the game plan, keep their rhythm going, but not but I don't want them to sit out entirely either because that's a recipe for upsets in the playoffs is when teams just sit all their starters and then they're not and then they take a week off another week off and then they have to go in flat-footed and that's just never a recipe for success in my estimation. But for the 49ers, yeah, I want to see a rotation, especially against a weaker opponent like this. It should be Shanahan's scheme. That should be enough and like to get us through this game without us actually having to do too much. But uh yeah, Cowboys said number 2 seed, here we come. Yes. I have my sights set on that number 2 seed. Like I want the Packers obviously to win today, and I think that there's a good chance that they're going to win today. And if that's the case, I'd have to see the tiebreakers and everything. We may need them to lose one more time. And it's still, the point is it's still a possibility. So the 49ers absolutely do not want to lose today. Which I don't think is a thing, but yeah, I'm excited about this game because I just want to see them set a tone, basically just dominate the game. But at the same time, I want the league to see all the possibilities. I want everybody to get involved and just to get death by a thousand cuts per se. So, but the as far as the 49ers go and like this matchup, I want to talk about this matchup a little bit before we get out of here. So, you know, the teams honestly on offense look pretty like as far as the numbers, from a number standpoint, like they look pretty similar. I mean, they have the same amount, they have basically the same amount of numbers, yards passing. Uh, I mean, the 49ers have a few more yards rushing than they do, but I mean, it's pretty similar as far as yards go. From a defensive standpoint, though, that it's like a 10 point, almost a 10 point, I think it's an 8 point difference. But it's what I see the big number for me is that the Raiders allow 116 yards a game rushing, where the 49ers allow 75 flat. So and the Raiders allow probably about what 20 yards more than the 49ers do in the passing, which I think if there is a weakness for the 49ers team, we talked about it earlier, it would be the secondary, but I don't even think you can call them in a weakness. It's just that the 49ers have been getting up on teams, so now it takes them out of that. They can't run the ball anymore, and then they've got to pass, so a majority of their yards are going to come from passing. And I mean, it is what it is. Like if you're the odds of you getting more yards passing throughout a game if you pass all the time, and that's what teams are having to do. So I don't necessarily, it doesn't discourage me. I'll say that. Doesn't discourage me at all. I think that D'Amico's got a plan for all of these games, and I think especially now that he's getting a chance to play with leads, it's it's uh it's not he's getting to try out blitzes right now. Like you saw it last game. He's just trying out blitzes against Carson Wentz. And I think that's what you're going to probably see a lot of in this game, him trying out a lot of things, especially if the 49ers get up early. So not that they should be playing with their food or whatever that even means, but it's it's a possibility. I think that going into the playoffs, he wants to see what's going to happen if he tries certain things. Now, granted, it's against an inferior opponent, but it's still good information to have on how players react to certain things. So, but I mean, 49ers are on what, a eight? I believe it's an eight. It might be a 9 game winning streak now. I think it's an 8 game winning streak. So it's great. It's been a great stretch, and that's kudos to everybody. Honestly, this whole coaching staff, you got to give them kudos. Like the whole coaching staff, they have had these guys ready to play, especially the last 4 games. I want to say, like specifically, the defense has been ready to play. The offense has been working on all cylinders with Brock Purdy in there, and even before Brock Purdy was in there, Jimmy was doing a serviceable job. So we weren't scoring as many points I like for here and there. We had some struggles, but they were moving the ball, and so it's not it wasn't Jimmy wasn't terrible in any of those games. But with that being said, this team has been doing great. I can't wait to watch this game today. I think this is going to be one. I'm hoping that this is going to be one of those games where we get to kind of just sit back and enjoy having a really good team playing against an inferior opponent. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see any letdowns. We don't want to see any nonsense. And we just want to see them go in and take care of business, right? It's a new year, like new look Shanny. Like Shanny just needs to go in there and take care of business. So with that being said, I'm about to get out of here, and I'll be back right after the game. Oh, he Cowboy had made a good point. Kamoko Toure's back. Another Chris Kasarik. Like He's been back a couple of times, and they just don't even throw him out on the field. Like, so I don't know. I think he's just for depth purposes. I think he's been in. He's had some personal issues throughout the season, so I'd be surprised if he's actually plays. But big up to him, like for coming through regardless, like and not shutting it down for the whole season. So, but like I said, it's gonna be it should be a really good game. I'm hoping that we all get to a chance to just enjoy it and enjoy your new year. Enjoy your new year. I always want to say thank you to all of you for listening and watching the show. Uh, I've had some tremendous growth this year, and I can't do it without any of you. So it's I really appreciate all of you, and I appreciate all the people that have come on the show, my guests, and all the other Beto and Rich Kelts and Brandon Forever Faithful, my guys from Last Man Standing, Ryan, Mariah. Like, I mean, I could go on all day. TL, I could go on all day. With all the special 49er content creators that have kind of supported my journey, and like I really appreciate you guys. So with that being said, we're gonna get out of here. Remember, you can get this YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and anywhere where you can get your audio podcast. It'll be on there too, as well as you can get my snippets on Instagram and TikTok. So take a look at that if you don't want to look at my face for a whole 30 minutes to an hour. So with that being said, I will be back after the game is over, and we'll do a reaction show. But like I said, appreciate you guys coming in, and once again, we're always going to leave it with a Go Niners.